There's a reason Australians can spot a tourist from over 100 metres away. It's not the accent, it's not the clothes, it's the unwritten rules, like what you eat for dinner, or the particular way you like to say thank you, or even how you behave when someone says to you the word "onya." So these are the 10 secret rules that most tourists break without even realising it, and if you want to fit in and not get awkward stares like I did when I got here, then this is your cheat sheet. G'day neighbour.
Shut up, you bum.
Of course, these aren't actual laws. If you break them, you're not going to get sent to jail, but they're just things that are either frowned upon or a bit awkward. So in this video, we're gonna learn a few things, we're gonna laugh at a few things, and let's get into number one, which is swearing for no reason. It has been a stereotype for decades now that Aussies, they will just throw out the most extreme profanity because that's what they do. That's the culture. You know, I've even mentioned in a previous video, don't be shocked when you hear swearing from Australians, and lots of Aussies were gracious enough to reply to that video, and they say, yes, some of us like to swear, but not all of us. I know this sounds like common sense, but let's be honest, if you're not from Australia, you do grow up with a Hollywood version of Australia, like the movie Australia.
Welcome to Australia.
And you think, oh, that's how the country is in the 21st century. And it's just not. So read the room. It's contextual and it's strategic. You don't just walk into a new group of people and start throwing around the F-bomb and thinking everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're our mate now, come here, come here. So whatever you do, read the room. Don't think that because you watch that Hollywood movie about Australia where everyone's dropping the C-bomb that it's cool to do. It might not be, and it might really, really embarrass you. Even if you're a tourist for a couple of weeks, coming away from it, having made a few Aussie mates is awesome, and Australians are very open to communicating and becoming friends with you, but they're less likely to if you're trying too hard at being someone that you're not. And while we're here, give the video a like, or I'll tell every Aussie I know that Foster's is your favourite beer. I'm joking, I won't really. Or will I? Number two is always thank bus drivers and service staff. Of course, this doesn't just go for buses. In Australia, just like where I grew up in the UK, Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, you thank the bus driver. It's very rude not to. It's also good that when you get onto the bus, if you're getting on from the front, you tap your card, say hello to the bus driver. If you get onto a very quiet bus and you feel like there's lots of eyes on you, especially because you're in a new country, and I get it, it's a bit scary. You feel like you've got the spotlight on you and all the local Aussies are looking at you and thinking, oh, that's a tourist, that's a tourist. Well, just like the spotlight effect talks about, this isn't really happening. It's generally in your head, and saying hello and saying thank you to the bus driver for their service is a really good thing to do. And honestly, if you want to fit in here, Aussies will think you're a bit of a legend if you do that. This isn't to say though that if you take the seat near the bus driver that they want to chat to you while they're working. No, you know, keep some boundaries there. And the same goes for any of the passengers on the bus. They might not want to chat to you as well. And when you tap your card to leave the bus, definitely say thank you. It's really important to do. This isn't something that you just do on the bus here. You'll definitely do it on any domestic flights that you take in Australia. If you go to cities where there's ferries as public transport, like Sydney or my home, which is Brisbane, then definitely thank the ferry staff, especially as you'll be passing them face to face. It's just awkward if you don't. So remember that, and you'll have a good time here. And just a quick one, apparently 98% of you who watch these videos regularly aren't even subscribed yet. So if you are enjoying this, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me to keep these videos coming. Let's get back into it. Number three, don't litter. You might think this is common sense, but it's still really important to say. This is frowned upon hard. Not only are there steep fines if you get caught, but Australians and Australia as a whole, they really care about their agriculture, their ecosystem, their wildlife. And you should too, because you're stepping into somebody else's home at the end of the day. Even if you're only here for a temporary amount of time, you wouldn't walk into your mate's house with muddy shoes, trample mud all over it onto their lovely cream carpet, and then drop a cigarette end on the floor. So don't do that in Australia. I mean, you can wear muddy shoes in Australia, just don't do the cigarette bit. But the reason why I said this at the start is that it's common sense, is that there is no excuse. If you get told off for littering, you cannot reply with, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was a thing here. I don't know of many countries where it's okay to freely litter. So ignorance is not an excuse for breaking the law. Do not litter. And depending how brave you are, my best mate back in the UK, if he sees someone litter, he will go and pick up their litter, run over to them and go, oh, sorry mate, I think you've dropped this, and act completely innocent to witnessing them litter. And usually they get a bit embarrassed and they go, oh, thank you, and they take it back, and they do end up throwing it in the bin. Don't feel like you need to do that. You're not employed by the council to. So respect Australia, and it will respect you. You put positive energy out there, you will get it back tenfold. Rule number 4, don't skip the sunnies. What I have learned from a previous commenter on a video is that when they went to their optometrist, they said to them, make sure that you wear sunglasses because otherwise it can cause cataracts, which isn't really something that you want. And the thing about Australia is it's in a part of the world where the UV is very, very high. It's not the same as in the UK, where our UV on some days only gets as high as 1 or 2. No, in Australia, it can get up to 13 or more. What I would highly recommend you do in the most convenient way possible in your environment to track the UV while you're in Australia. For example, if you have a smartwatch, I've got an Apple Watch, I have a tiny little complication dial in the corner that has the live UV. Basically, anything above 3 is you need to be more sun safe. Ideally, don't go outside, but I know we've all got lives to live. So if you do go outside, you need your sunglasses, you need your sunscreen, and ideally wear long sleeve clothing to protect you even more. It's really important that when you get a pair of sunglasses, make sure they are UV protected. They're not just a fashion statement, they will secure the longevity of your eye health for many years to come. Rule number 5, don't touch random plants. Now, I think it's common sense to not go around touching the animals, but also a lot of areas in Australia are protected. So if you go around picking plants up, Aussies aren't going to be very happy with you. I always learn when I was at school doing, camping trips and things like that, the teachers would always tell us the only thing you should be taking from a place you visit is pictures. Also, many plants in Australia that are horrible. Horrible in the sense of that they could hospitalize you. Visually gorgeous, visually stunning, but there's plants like the Gympie plant, and you can find this plant all the way from northern Queensland right down to New South Wales, and basically it's a plant, it kind of looks a little bit like a UK stinging nettle, but with much larger leaves, and it has these tiny silica needles that when you touch them, it injects venom into your skin, and it is so painful. I say that as if I've experienced it. I've never touched that. As soon as I found out about this, I'm like, I'm never touching that in my entire life. Of course, there's many plants out there, like anywhere, that, are completely harmless, but I just wanted to use the Gympie plant as a specific example of how dangerous the plants can be here. So when in doubt, hands off the flora. If you want a nice bunch of flowers, go to your local florist and then, put a bit of money into the community. Now, I have to be honest, there were plenty of times here where I thought, maybe I'd never fit in. Felt like maybe I'm a bit too British, a bit too awkward and stiff sometimes. It's also that sort of feeling of seeing, Aussie blokes talk to each other in their really cool Queenslander accents, and the conversation just seems to flow a bit more naturally, and I'm not the most masculine man, as a lot of you know. If I'm being totally honest. So there were moments like that, but then I sit down with an Aussie mate, I sit down with, Aussie relatives, or even my mechanic who just did my service the other day, and they are so warm, they are so welcoming, and they're teaching me so much about not trying to force surface level small talk for the sake of, looking polite, but actually connecting with someone on a down-to-earth level, being actually interested in someone. And to me, it just gets rid of all that social judgment that I have felt so heavily growing up in the UK, and you feel loved and appreciated here. I get this soppy in every video these days, what's wrong with me? But yeah, every mistake I have made here has never been met with hate or criticism. It's been met with a bit of a smile, a bit of banter, but then a pat on the back saying, mate, you're becoming one of us, you're becoming an Aussie. It makes me a bit emotional, honestly, because that's really lovely. Anyway, rule number 6. Don't talk someone's ear off. Remember when we were talking about having lovely conversations with Aussies? They love to connect with you and to make a new friend, but there is a point where it's okay to sit in silence with your new Aussie mate, and that's okay. Don't fill the space with small talk about the weather, it's boring. That's something British people do, okay? if you're in Australia, you can be an Aussie and you don't need to fill that silence. So read the room. Aussies sometimes value a bit of quiet over constant chatter. Honestly, family occasions in the UK, like our traditional Boxing Day event with my mum's side of the family, if I, had a bit of chat with everyone and then was quiet for most of the day, I'd probably get quite a few family members coming up to me and go, "Sam, are you okay?" Because in the UK, we sort of present to each other we're doing okay with constant chatter. But in Australia, I'll go to a family event, and if I want to be quite quiet for most of the day, everyone's fine with it. They don't bat an eyelid, really. And that's not because Aussies don't care. No, they do care, but they just understand that not everybody wants to talk all the time. And honestly, it's a relaxing thing. It's a relaxing thing not having that social pressure on you. Rule number 7, don't insult New Zealanders. I've had many an Aussie comment on videos. Not that I haven't been, don't worry, I haven't been insulting any New Zealanders. Australians have told me only Aussies can insult Kiwis and vice versa. It's like sibling rivalry. It's like a sibling relationship. If someone outside of those communities does so, then it just looks a bit tacky, really. So this isn't to try and, push you out of the group of, welcome to Australia. But, if you haven't grown up in Australia, if you're not culturally Australian, it's best to hold off on the very pointed, harsh banter towards Kiwis. So rule number 8, don't tell Aussies their slang is wrong. Arvo, servo, Devo, Bottolo, and Aussies, I have to admit, when my Australian wife Maddie was teaching me a few different Aussie slang words, I did find some of them a little bit funny. And look, if you're not Aussie or if you've never been here, you might hear some Aussie slang and you might think it's a little bit silly, but don't criticize them about it. It's part of the culture. Again, it's that same thing. You don't come into someone else's house and then critique all of the art they have on their walls or critique what sort of couch they've got or what TV they've picked. So correcting them, it doesn't land well, just roll with it. You'll have a much better time here. And remember, you're in their house, so speak their language. It's not hard. Rule number 9 is don't eat out super late. Not because it's a crime, but more so because you physically can't. I'm speaking specifically with my experience here in Brisbane. A lot of kitchens close quite early. We're talking like 9 or 10 p.m. And, to Aussies, that might sound quite late, but if you have grown up in Europe like I did, lots of kitchens are open quite a lot later. If you go to France, if you go to Spain, the kitchens are open very late. I mean, the Spanish, famously, they don't start eating until like 9 or 10. And I felt this very hard. I've been working far too late one night, editing my videos. It's got to 10 p.m. and I've said to Maddie, "Oh, it's late. Should we just go out to eat?" And she'll go, "Where? There's literally nowhere you can go right now apart from 7-Eleven. Don't learn the hard way. You don't want to go a night hungry. You don't want your little tummy to be rumbling while you're in your bed. It's not a good feeling." So Aussies, they like to eat early. They like to have their kitchens close early and plan ahead. Rule number 10 is don't rely on Google Maps in super rural areas. I'm talking if you are going into the outback, not only do you need to be prepared driving the right vehicle, having backup petrol, plenty of water, sunscreen, food, safe places that you can visit, but you can't rely on Google Maps. You need to start getting good at reading maps, a real map that you can hold in your hands. You're probably thinking, "Sam, what do you know? You haven't even been into the outback yet, even though you've lived here for a year." It's true, I've been exploring the lovely cities and towns, it's very cushy and I'm enjoying myself. Don't worry, I definitely will be doing some outback adventures when I'm back from my short stint in the UK this year, but I've got lots of Australian relatives via my Aussie wife who have told me all these stories about the outback. I'm no expert, so check with as many Aussie locals as possible what you need venturing into the outback, but also make sure you can read a proper map. But if you want to find out 10 more secret rules that tourists keep breaking here in Australia, then go watch this video here. I promise you it will help a lot. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.